Good morning, YouTube. Ignore that glorious hair that I have. Gotta cover it up because I don't need these fashion gurus, you know, want my secrets on my hairstyle. Anyway, got a quick little unboxing that I need to do. Something's in the mail that I got really excited about once I found out about it, so we'll see in just a second. You know, I really could use a hat rack, and one of these days I'll get one, because I've got so many hats laying around that it's just a pile of hats. I go through hats, I change them out pretty often. Like, y'all see this one and maybe one or two other ones in the videos, but I have a pile of hats that I go through. Anyway, here's our little package. This is a new item by a small little bait company, fishing company, and it suits, you know, what I like to do very well. This is the Small String Finesse 4X PE braid by Creek Life Lure Company. Now, if you don't know who they are, they're on Instagram and Facebook, and they do a lot of really cool stuff with micro type stuff, hard baits, plastics, and, you know, I think they've got rods too, but I'll leave a link in the description so you can go check it out. But this stuff here, I like really small diameter braid, because, you know, I used to do a lot of catfishing type stuff on the channel, and it just got harder and harder to, you know, keep a consistent schedule because of that. So that's why the channel name is what it is now. But this stuff is a 4-strand braid, but it's super thin. This is the 8-pound test, by the way, and it only comes in 4, 6, and 8 pound. But this is high-vis Creek Life orange. Very similar to the sunburst orange that Whisker Seeker has in their catfish braid. But it being a 4-strand braid, it's a little bit more coarse than, you know, stuff that I'm typically using, like an 8-strand Daiwa. But this stuff is so fine. Like, this is almost sewing thread fine. The dimensions for the 8-pound is 0.08 millimeters or 0.0031 inches. Like, this stuff is really thin. Now, as far as 4-strand braids go, the closest in comparison that I can say this is comes to is the Daiwa 4-strand J braid, but this is smoother than Daiwa. You know, I'll probably know how much I like my Daiwa braid. This stuff is smoother than that. So anyway, get this stuff spooled up on a rod, and I think I know what rod I'm going to put it on, just because, you know, the packaging, the theme behind it, and all that, it just matches this rod really well. So we'll see you up on the mountain creek. We're up here, and I completely forgot that the Forest Service up here doesn't know how to maintain their roads. You have to drive this road at half the speed of stop to not destroy your vehicle. All right, this creek is way down from the last time I was here. Of course, it's also not rained much since the last time I was here, but the rod we're working with today that I spooled that Creek Life Lure Company braid onto is a 6-foot TFO light power Shimano Sedona 1000. This is the older model, and what we're working with, actually using the wrong hook to do it with, but it will make it work if I can get this untangled. But it's just a owner EWG, like a size 2 or a size 4, and I've got just a little tiny split shot above it just to give it a little bit of weight, and a 3-inch natural color trout worm. That worked really well the last time I was up here, and I am using a fluorocarbon leader, so the sensitivity is going to be knocked down a little bit, but not so much that it's a problem. Got it. That's one of 2 that are sitting down there. I don't really need to loosen my drag because 8 pound down to a 6 pound leader is plenty. Chill, 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 chill. And you were hooked pretty good. That's a pretty little smallmouth. And we've only been here about 15 minutes, but we've already got hit by one other fish, lost it. And then this one and another one looked at it. Oops. I apologize for that belly flop, sir, smallmouth. But if I had been using a little bit smaller hook to start with, I probably would have got them much easier. But we threw around with a little BB sized split shot as a little bit of extra weight and switched over to weightless. And I've noticed this braid casts really good for a 4-strand braid. Now, I honestly wish I had gotten the 4 or 6 pound, but you know, 8 pound casts really, really well with a weightless 3-inch trout worm and a like number 2 or number 4 EWG hook. Like, there's almost nothing there, and it casts pretty dang good. With that little BB split shot, I can clear this creek, no problem. Matter of fact, I've almost got tangled in the trees on the other side a couple of times. But weightless, I can get just about 3/4 of the way across this creek. Maybe right at it. Oh, oh, darn it. Maybe I can get its attention with that little bit that's left on there, but he bit off the broke piece. Oh, no. Dang it. I should have just put a new one on there and didn't do it. But the other smallmouth came up and picked it up and bit that other end off of my worm. But I did find some pink ones. Now, these are nothing special. Every trout, crappie, panfish brand has these. These are the Bass Pro Trout Max worms. Leland Lures makes them. Creek Life Lure Company makes some. They're just under different names and different colors and so on and so forth. But honestly, with baits like this that I lose and tear quite easily, I just go with the cheapest ones that I can find. One thing's for sure, since throwing on this weightless trout worm, even with the natural color one, I've had about 9 billion bluegill just show up out of nowhere. Just none of them are big enough to get it down. Oh crap! Damn, I wasn't paying attention. I felt a bite. Then I just dropped it back down, and those fish are probably in the next county now. But I'd got a bite and wasn't really paying attention, and dropped it back down. And out of nowhere, another one came along, picked it up, and I didn't get a good hook set. Alright, well, we've spent about 15-20 minutes too long in this spot, so we're going to move on down because it's getting kind of hard to see what's what in this little creek, or at least in this spot, because of all this shade forming. So we're going to jump to another spot and see what we can make happen. But one thing I want to mention real quick with this braid, and this is with any braid, doesn't matter what brand it is, how cheap or how expensive it was, new braid is going to have a little bit of stiffness to it. You know, once it gets broken in, it's going to start to loosen up, and it's going to cast a lot better than it did straight out of the box. So if you get new braid, like whether it's this, Power Pro, Daiwa, Seagard, whatever, and it's not casting nearly as good as you think it should right out of the box, that's why. Give it some time, let it break in, let it soften up, and you'll get a lot better casting distance and more accuracy out of your cast. Right, this looks pretty good down here. I mean, it is way, way down like pretty much every other part of this creek. Oh, there's a smallmouth. I think it's a smallmouth, I ain't sure. Oh shoot, that was a smallmouth. Oh, dang it. There's like 2 little rock bass that was right there with that smallmouth. Oh. That was about a 5-inch spotted bass or something. I couldn't really tell. He had about half of that worm in his mouth and was swimming off with it. I just kept giving him line and giving him line and giving him line, and figured he probably had the hook by then, and he didn't. Got you, finally. Are you the little goober that was swimming off with it a while ago? I think you were. You were just holding on to it because somebody else wanted it. No, that's a little largemouth. Kind of looked like a spotted bass, but I couldn't really tell for sure because of all this shade. Oh, something picked it up. Don't know what. Ooh, flung the old cross there. I just happened to see that my yig head was missing. How are you hooked? Tiny little Reginald. Now, one way you can tell these apart from a shadow bass is the eyes, like on a rock bass, are real deep red. On a shadow bass, they have a purplish blue hue to them. But there's several other ways, but shadow bass are so stinking rare that 9 times out of 10, or 9.5 times out of 10, when you catch something you think is a shadow bass, it's more than likely a rock bass. There's one. Ain't real big. I'd like to catch at least a couple of more fish before we head back because it is getting late. Little rocky bass. Little Reginald. I have no idea where I casted that. Danglefish. Now I just got to get him over here. What are you? You are a common shiner. Yep, that is a common shiner. These oftentimes get confused for striped shiners, which look extremely similar to them, but they have very pronounced vertical bars, kind of like a white crappie does. Because, you know, white crappie have a yellowish green hue to them, and these do too, both the common and the striped shiners. So, since we've done about as much damage as we're going to do in this spot, we're going to hop in the truck and we're going to jiggle on down to another spot, and hopefully nobody's there, because there's a bunch of people camping up here this weekend, which makes sense. It's nice weather and all that. I still don't see how people camp when it's 85, 90 degrees or warmer outside, but that's neither here nor there. That was quick. Oh, now that, my friends, is a nice green sunny. Pretty good size one. Thought it was a rock bass at first, but it ain't. Pretty fish. I don't know how many fish we've caught, or hadn't really been keeping track. I mean, taking pictures of them, but I'll deal with that later. Really just wanted to come up here and play around with this Creek Life Lure Company braid. See how it is. So far, I like it. I still wish I had went with like a 4 or 6 pound, and I may still order some of the 4 or 6 just to have a little bit extra line capacity, because what was that, a bite? Because I did not, well, there's a bite. I did not get all of the 8 pound braid from that spool on here, And I didn't use a backing either. I just tied it straight to the spool and put a piece of electrical tape over it so that it wouldn't slip. But, I mean, I like it. Casts really small baits really well. And it seems to handle abrasions fairly well. Oh, darn it. There's one. Another. Anyway, tiny little rock bass. Itty bitty little dude. Skadoosh. I think I'm just going to give her a couple more minutes and call it, because this has been successful enough. Because like I said, I just wanted to see what this braid was all about, see how it felt, how it casted and all that stuff. And first impressions and whatnot. Yeah, that's another one. That's a pretty good size Reginald. It's probably the biggest one of the day, if not second biggest. I don't know, I think he's the longest one of the day, but well, from belly to top, not so much. But got you documentified. Let's see how many we've caught and make a decision on whether or not we're staying. If we can get one in the next 5% of my battery, we'll call her quits. Well, nothing happened in that last 5% of my battery. Did get a couple of bites and lost one fish, but that was it. Anyway, Creek Life Lure Company 8-pound creek braid, dang good stuff. I noticed since we started using it, it's pretty stiff, and by the end of this trip, it had loosened up a lot. I still wish I had went with 4 or 6 pound. I probably still will, like I said. But this stuff is a pretty good braid. It is reasonably priced at, I think, $19 plus shipping. So it's not bad at all. So anyway, check out all the links in the description, especially that top link. That's my mule fishing affiliate link. Anytime you click that link and buy something through it, it helps out the channel because I get a little bit of a kickback from it. And the socials for Creek Life Lure Company will be in the description, so check those out. Tell them I sent you. Oh, God. I just slammed my hatch on my GoPro. Fortunately, the camera screen is fine. Downside, the mount is broke. Oh well, I've got like 30 of those anyway. So anyway, check out all the links in the description. Hope you like the video. We'll see you in the next one.